Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision that something else matters more. 7%. Okay, guys, that's the number. 77% of men report experiencing anxiety, stress, or depression symptoms. But most men, they never say a word about it anymore. So here's another one. Are 4 times more likely to die by suicide than women. 4 times. Okay, so the CDC puts the rate at 23 per 100,000 for men versus 5.9 for women. And in 2024, the overall suicide rate in America hit a 70-year high. 70 years, guys. That is not a blip. That's a crisis in plain sight. And yet in 2023, only 17% of men went and talked to a mental health professional. So that's but less than 1 in 5. And the National Institute of Mental Health found that only 1 in 4 men with depression even receiving counseling. So we have a situation where most men are struggling. Most men know they're struggling. And yet most men are saying absolutely nothing about it. So today, again, like I said, we're going to talk about fear and anxiety. This is the thing that I think has been running your life without your permission. So I want to start with something real. I'm going to ask Jason, before we get into the research and the tools, with you and your background in the military, the crazy shit you shared with our audience, what's your honest relationship when it comes to fear?
Fear is just one of those things. It's like it's always been there, but you just like this really awesome World War II veteran. I can't remember how he said. He was like, everybody's fear, everybody's scared, but courage, where courage comes from, is being able to overcome your fear and still do your job. That's what courage is. So courage isn't just there's no fear and you have all this. Courage is you overcoming your fear and be able to keep going. So I've had anxiety and fear my whole life. I've always been told I have lots of anxiety, lots of fear. I mean, when I went to Bosnia on my first mission, taking mines out of the ground, I remember dry heaving when I was putting on my bomb suit. So putting on my bomb suit, whatever, you just the anxiety, the stomach acid. I remember dry heaving a bunch of times. You kind of wipe your mouth, take a drink of water, and you're like, oh, okay. And then you keep getting
Let's
dressed and
get to
going.
work.
Yeah. But I've always dealt with anxiety. I've always had anxiety, like at school before a big test. Some of the audience doesn't know I used to race motorcycles back in the day. And I had anxiety before races, before practices. I would have anxiety and stuff. You dry heave a little. You can't eat any food. You can't even take a sip of water because you feel like you want to be sick, but you got to go anyways, and then once you start, like once I started the race, or once I started on my hands and knees looking for the explosives, it went away. But until you start, it just builds in you, builds in you, builds in you. And I think that's why a lot of people quit even before they start something, because it just builds in you. It gets so much where to the point where you sleep about it, you dream it, it messes up your sleep, it wakes you up. I've had times where I woke up in the morning and dry heave just from having a bad dream, anxiety. It just builds up in you. And I think that's why a lot of people quit before they start something, or they don't want to talk about it because it's weakness. Like we never talked about it when I was in the army. But you bring it up and they just be, it's weakness. You'll get
Don't
over
be
it. You'll
such a
get
pussy.
stronger. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And they told you the same thing at school, the same thing before a test. Oh, it's normal. You'll get over it. Just keep going, you know?
Well, courage, and the World War II that you're talking about, it's probably something along the lines of courage isn't the absence of fear. It's acting in spite of it.
Yes, yes.
It's like, okay, the fear's there, but you don't let the fear paralyze you. But that's a really tough thing to do.
Extremely
Like
tough.
it's like so easy to say this like
Yeah.
inspirational, motivational sentence, right? But man, when you're looking kind of down the barrel of the gun, when you're looking at whatever it is you're afraid of, a lot of the time you're just like, you know what? I can't do it. And it's sometimes it's paralysis by analysis. It's overthinking. It's assuming the worst thing is going to happen despite no evidence, right? So we're definitely going to get into that today. And, like this is, you gave a perfect example. It's what I want to dig into today, because those numbers I read, they're not random, right? They're a result of men being told their whole lives to bury the thing that's literally eating them alive. So let's start with what fear actually is, because I think honestly, most people get it wrong. So I'm going to, again, kind of go into some scientific stuff. It's going to make me sound a lot smarter than I actually am. But bear with me, guys. Again, I really dug into some research. So I'm going to be reading some stuff so that we get a bit more context instead of just Jay and I sharing, obviously, our personal experience. I think some science behind it will help us as we address it from our personal experience. So your brain has an alarm system. Now, neuroscientists, they call it the amygdala. I'm sure we've all heard this before, and I'm going to call it your alarm system because that's exactly what it does. So when there's a real threat right now in front of you, it fires. Right now, I'm sure we all felt our heart rate is going to spike, your muscles tense, your body gets ready to fight or flight, right? That fight or flight response. That is fear. Fear is a present moment response to an immediate real threat or danger. Now, anxiety is different. Anxiety is what happens when your alarm system fires about something that is not here yet. So you're lying in bed in the middle of the night worrying about a conversation maybe you have to have tomorrow, right? Your body is running the exact same chemical response as if a bear walked into the room. But there's no bear. There's just a thought. So here is I guess maybe a gym way. Now let's bring it down for us Neanderthals. Okay, so here's a gym way of thinking about it, guys. So fear is doing a 500-pound deadlift. Jay, we all know this is not something you're going to do, because your hips, low back. Probably not even me anymore. I used to once upon a time, right? So think about doing a 500-pound deadlift, guys. It's acute. It is real, and it has an endpoint. Okay, so you lift, you finish, it's done. Now, anxiety is sitting on the couch for 3 days before the deadlift, worrying about it. It's chronic, it's manufactured by your own mind, and there is no natural endpoint because the threat isn't real. So there's a neuroscientist. Now, I'm going to try to get some of these scientists' names right. This one's pretty easy. So this one's named Dr. Jill Taylor. I think Bolt is a middle name. Anyways, we're going to say Dr. Jill Taylor. And she was a brain researcher from Harvard who had a stroke and studied her own brain while it was happening. And she wrote a book called My Stroke of Insight. And one of the most important things she discovered is this, that when your alarm system fires, what we were just talking about, the chemicals norepinephrine and cortisol, the whole cocktail, flood your bloodstream. Now, that entire chemical process takes approximately 90 seconds. I want you to keep that number in your head, 90 seconds. We're going to come back to this multiple times throughout this podcast. After 90 seconds, the chemicals have flushed out of your body and they're gone. Okay? So if you're still filled with fear and anxiety after 90 seconds, it's not because the chemicals are still there. It's because us men, we're choosing to re-trigger the circuit. So you're replaying the thought. You are running that story again and again over in your head. And every time you replay it, you get another 90-second hit. Now, this is something like I just learned recently, and I never thought about it this way. And I wonder, why does anxiety just continue to go? Where's the off switch? I didn't realize that it's a 90-second interval. So I'm really hoping that maybe informing our audience about this allows them to have a kind of a mechanism to recognize what's going on. So to continue on with Dr. Jill Taylor, her exact words is that if you continue to feel fear, anger, and so on, you need to look at the thoughts you are thinking that are re-stimulating the circuitry. Now, again, this isn't me saying this. This is a Harvard neuroscientist who literally watched it happen inside her own brain. So, now, guys, let's talk about how we're conditioned. This is how we're conditioned to handle fear. So we have this alarm system that fires, And it's technically only supposed to last 90 seconds, at least according to our biology. But then there's the conditioning. So we grew up with two options, okay? Suppress it or perform your way through it. Jay, this is exactly what you talked about, right? Tough it out, man up, don't let them see you sweat, right? Don't be a pussy, right? That's the playbook that most of us are handed. This is how we're kind of taught and we're hardwired. Like don't sweat the small stuff. Don't worry about it. Don't be a pussy. Don't worry. It's okay. Sure. All right. I'm just going to tough it out. But meanwhile, now we have this 90-second that's on repeat, right? And it works for a while. You white knuckle through the hard things. Jay, I'm sure you white knuckled through some of those races, right?
Yeah.
Right? You white knuckle through the hard things. You push through situations that literally are scaring the shit out of you. But you're not actually processing the fear. You're not letting the 90-second loop complete. You are forcing it down, and the next time it fires harder. Because your body remembers you ignored the signal the last time. Ignorance isn't always bliss, guys. I hate to say it. So nobody taught us to sit with it. And I think, too, in today's society, we're going to use the excuse, well, I'm busy. I don't have time to sit with it. Okay, so if you don't sit with it, you're going to live with it. So if we're not taught to sit with this, nobody taught us to let the 90 seconds pass, we're just told not to show it. So Jason, what I just kind of went through, this 90-second, this education that I received this week on this, the more technical aspect of it, what did you get from that? The idea that a chemical part is actually short, but we're the ones replaying the thought. Does that ever showed up for you that way?
Yeah, because never 90 seconds. It always lasts probably about 24 hours with me.
This is the anxiety that never ends. It just goes on and yeah.
It's like, it's always the night before that it starts, like the night before a race, the night before I would deploy, or the night before we had to go on a mission, or, the night before I knew I had to go clear some mines out of the ground and stuff like that. Like that 24 hours before, it just starts building and building. And it was weird. I wasn't scared, or I didn't have fear to do the racing, my job or whatever, because I wanted to do it. It was an anxiety that would just build and build and build. And that's what makes you dry heave. That's what makes you sick. I remember getting dressed, just sweating, before a race or before, an exercise, and just, from the anxiety. And as soon as the race started, or as soon as I started my job or whatever, it all went away. It was like it just flushed and went away, because my brain isn't scared of it anymore, because I'm actually doing it. So I have no anticipation of it coming, where the anxiety is. Now you're actually doing it. Your brain's like, oh, okay, we don't have to be nervous anymore. We're out. And all of a sudden you feel like $1 million. But that 24 hours before, God, I would do anything to get rid of that anxiety. If I would have had tools, breathing tools, if I would have known any of this stuff, I would have, had some help to try to get rid of it.
Well, at least we could almost put like a name to it. We put our finger on something. Like that's when I read all this stuff, when I started actually diving into it to educate the audience and myself, I was like, holy shit, like I never knew any of this.
Yeah.
I love learning new things. I'm like, okay, I got now a new tool to add to my kind of self-care toolbox. And it's, like one thing I think all guys that are listening right now can probably relate to. I mean, I used to love watching MMA back in the day. I don't watch it anymore, but back in the day, all of us, and I think everyone here, every guy that's ever listened has probably watched MMA. If you want to talk about anxiety manifesting itself in real time, you can see it in like those fighters, there's fear. No doubt there is, every single one of those fighters, there's some fear going into that ring. Afraid of getting knocked out, afraid of your opponent's abilities, whatever. Sure, there's definitely some I would say some faith in your abilities as a professional fighter to do your job, and you're going to go in there with the intent of winning. But you ever watch how the body language, the anxiety, how it manifests in a fighter when they get into a cage? None of them are standing still. Right? What is every fighter doing when they get into the cage?
Yeah.
They're
Yeah, that makes
pacing.
sense. Yeah.
They're pacing like a caged animal, right? So men, understand, even the people that are trained like Jay, like professional fighters, every single man has anxiety. And just think about it. Like, maybe we hate going to a dentist. Think of the last time you're sitting in a dentist's office. I bet anyone here can think about that and remember their leg moving like this. Like, oh my God, I got to go see the dentist. I got to get my cavity filled, or I got to get, teeth cleaned, or like just the discomfort, the anxiety of what's going to happen, or whatever it is, getting a needle, or you, will manifest itself in some kind of physical way, not just mental, but physical. There's telltale signs all the time. So, Jay, your experience that you shared, again, very relevant, I think, for all of us. So now I want to go into anxiety as a pattern. So this is the condition that nobody talks about. So there's a clinical term I want to introduce, and then I'm going to throw it away because nobody actually needs to remember the name. But there's a psychologist named Dr. Levant. I hope I'm saying that right. Now, he coined the term normative male, and I hope I don't screw this word up. So normative male alexithymia. I'm going to say alexithymia is what it's supposed to be in 1992. So alexithymia literally means without words for emotions. Okay, so here's what this actually means now in our plain Neanderthal language. Okay, so boys from a very young age are socialized through what researchers call restrictive emotionality. So don't cry, don't show fear, do not show attachment, man up, be tough. And now what happens over years and years of that conditioning is that men literally don't develop the vocabulary for their own emotions. So we have a tough time trying to actually name what we feel. So I want you to think about that. If you can't name the thing that you're actually feeling, how can you actually do anything about it? You can't fight what you can't name. So the emotion does not go away. It just goes underground and it kind of comes out sideways in another way. Now, in my coaching practice, and the research backs this up, male anxiety rarely looks like classic worry. Okay, it doesn't look like the guy in the corner, like wringing his hands. It actually wears a mask. 4 masks. Okay, so the first mask is anger. Now, this was, I think, where mine manifested itself all the time. Jay's laughing, right? Most guys are probably like, shit, yep, okay.
Yeah.
So mask 1 is anger. So you snap at your partner over something small, something stupid. You blow up in traffic. That was me. Road rage, right? You go from 0 to 10 over nothing. That's not an anger problem. That is anxiety wearing an anger mask. Now, mask number 2. So this might be another thing that the audience can relate to. So this is workaholism. So you bury yourself in the grind because as long as you're busy, you don't have to feel anything, right? Productivity becomes the escape. You call it discipline when it's actually avoidance. Now, mask 3, we actually just covered this in one of our recent podcasts. Substance use. Ring a bell, anyone? Yeah. Drinking, smoking weed, food, whatever numbing tool it is, right? Scrolling until 3 a.m., gaming until sunrise. Anything to avoid sitting with the thing that's actually bothering you, right? And again, when we did that whole addiction thing, it's again, is a glass of wine the worst thing? No. Is a beer the worst thing? No. Is playing a video game the worst thing? Absolutely not. Right? Is having a snack a bad thing? No. But the question is, why is it happening so frequently? Why is it happening all the time? Well, now here's that mask 3, which again, learning this research, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. It's a coping mechanism. Now, the last one, mass number 4, isolation. Now, there's a lot of men who just go quiet, right? You stop showing up, right? You cancel your plans. You isolate yourself. People are thinking you're being antisocial, but you're actually just overwhelmed, and your body is telling you to hide. So here's the analogy I like to use when it comes with my clients. So anxiety is not a broken car. It's the check engine light. It's an indicator. Your body's telling you something needs attention. And what most guys do is the equivalent of putting a piece of tape over the check engine light and saying, I don't see it anymore. Right?
I like that one.
Yeah, just you don't want to see it, so we're just gonna mask it. Right?
Yeah.
The light is gone, right? So if the light's not there, if I can't see it, then the problem's solved. But the engine is still misfiring, guys. And if you ignore it long enough, what's going to happen to the engine? It's going to blow. Right? This is what happens when men ignore anxiety for years. Right? You started ignoring it when you were a teenager, into your mid-20s, into your mid-30s. Now you're nearing your 40s. Maybe you're in your 40s. Now we have a problem. Guys, it doesn't go away. It compounds. And eventually it shows up as a failed marriage, a health crisis, a breakdown, a destroyed relationship with your children. Could be worse. Whatever else. Could end up in death. Remember those numbers from the top? 4 times more likely. Remember that? 70-year high. Okay? That's the engine blowing. That's you checking out before it's your time. And that's not something we want to see for men. So Jason, when you think about those 4 masks, I know you kind of laughed when I said the anger one.
Yeah.
So when you think about those 4 masks, which one did anxiety wear for you? Was it the anger? Was it the withdrawal? Was it the numbing? What did it look like before you could name it?
Oh, yeah, totally the anger one. Like, I mean, and it wasn't like you were angered just at everything all the time. It was just the littlest things could set you off. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm working something in the military, I have to grab, and I can't get like a couple wires into the mine detector or something. It's just something's not working. And then you just smash it and lose it and throw it. Like, and it wasn't you having an anger problem. It was your anxiety taking over. And then it just manifests as anger. You know, I remember working on when I was racing motorcycles, I was putting his battery in. I couldn't get one of the connectors on. And my anxiety, because I had a race in a few hours. I mean, I got so angry, I cracked the battery connector, snapped it right in half, threw the battery, lost my shit, you know, and it had nothing to, it was just anxiety, just manifesting and taking over, you know, or you say the wrong thing, you blow up on people I remember teaching a course and just having anxiety and stuff, and somebody wasn't paying attention, and I blew up on them. I just gave it to them hard. You know what I mean? And I had to apologize afterwards because I went overboard, but it was just anger. You know, it was just anxiety building up, and it comes blowing up. Men love to use it as anger. I swear. I think that's why your dad smashes something in the garage. You hear him working on his car, and he's just bitching and complaining the whole time. It's just what men do. We use anger to vent all our stuff, you know? I wish I was
Sounds
a
like me
quiet.
putting sounds like me putting together IKEA furniture, you know? Son of a bitch!
It's
Where
true,
does this
man.
thing go?
You lose it on the furniture, and it's not the furniture you're losing it on. It's the anxiety, it's the week, it's something that happened, you know, whatever, and it's just coming at you at that moment. And so you just end up destroying whatever you're working on, and you just, you know, somebody hears you yelling in the garage, just yelling and swearing, but it's not that particular thing. It's just anxiety from, could be that thing, from something else, from yesterday, all of it. And that's how it comes out. You know, it's like your body waits for you the need to concentrate to do something. And then it says, okay, let's lose it now. Let's give them
Yeah.
all that anxiety right now. You know, it's your brain is your best friend and your worst friend at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's your, yeah, that's a good way of putting it. It's your best friend and worst enemy at times. It's kind of both, it's such an asset at times, and it can be such a, I don't know what the word is kind of failing me right now, but yeah, you're absolutely
It's a
right.
friend who rage baits you at the wrong time.
There you go.
It
Yeah, there you
it
go.
is, man.
Rage,
That's
yeah.
your brain. Your brain's like your best friend. He's like, you know what? He's having a hard time. I'm gonna
Your brain's a tick
rage bait.
is the that rage baiter in the TikTok comment, like just there to trigger you, right? Oh
It's
man.
true.
It's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think this is gonna, like what you just said, this is gonna land for a lot of guys. When we went through those four masks, because so many of us, we've never connected the dots. Like you said, I have an anger problem or a motivation problem. No, maybe that's not it. Maybe it's the fact that you have an anxiety problem that you've never addressed. Right now we have some framework, and they've never addressed it because no one's ever given them the words for it. And then that's the whole cycle. Let me talk about what you can actually do about it. So this is what we're going to go into next, because it's not a hopeless situation. The research that I shared, well, now there's some tools, real tools. So we're going to go into building through it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you how to get rid of fear, because you can't. All right. Anyone who tells you they've eliminated fear is full of shit. Okay. That's never going to happen. Right. The goal is not to stop being afraid. Okay. The goal is to stop letting fear make your decisions. So there's four tools. We had four masks. Now there's four tools that are grounded in actual neuroscience clinical research. So the first one, name it out loud. So the first tool is the simplest and also the hardest. So we need to say it out loud, not in your head, okay? Out of your mouth. I'm afraid of failing at this. I'm afraid she's going to leave me. I'm afraid I'm not good enough. Whatever the thing is, okay, guys, say it. And this is not just a feel good exercise, okay? There's a neuroscientist at UCLA, Dr. Matthew Lieberman. Now, he ran an fMRI study. He put people in a brain scanner, and it showed it showed them images of faces showing strong emotions. So when subjects simply named the emotion they were seeing, just, said the word angry, their brain's alarm system, the amygdala, literally decreased in activity. Just naming it. What happened was the prefrontal cortex, again, some words here, but I've heard of this before, didn't really understand it. So that prefrontal cortex, the rational thinking part of your brain, activated and sent a dampening signal down to the alarm system. So the act of putting a feeling into a word is a neurological brake pedal, guys. Your brain cannot run the fear response at full volume when you're naming what you actually feel. So this is a form of braking. Name it, break it. Something maybe you can put together in your mind. So if you name it, you're putting a brake to it. Okay. You can't fight, guys. You can't fight what you can't name. So give the thing a name and you take half of its power away. It's not a metaphor. This is what the brain scan actually shows. Okay, so tool number 2, the 90-second wave. So again, remember I told you 90 seconds is going to keep coming up. So this is the one from the Harvard neuroscientist I mentioned earlier, right? So when fear or anxiety hits, that chemical flood takes 90 seconds. After that, the chemicals are gone. Any emotion you're still feeling after 90 seconds is you re-triggering the circuit by replaying the thought. So here's the tool. When you feel it coming on, don't react. Don't fight it. Don't run from it. Set a timer if you can. 90 seconds. Breathe. Let the wave crest and break. Your job is not to be tough. Your only job right now is to not feed the thought loop for the next 90 seconds. Most of the damage we do So the argument we're going to start, the the text we're going to send and then later regret, the decision we make out of panic, it happens in those first 90 seconds because we react, right? Reactive before the chemical flushes. Now, after 90 seconds, your rational brain, that's hard for men to maybe comprehend and wrap their mind around, right? So after 90 seconds, your rational brain comes back online. And then you can actually choose what to do instead of being hijacked by your own chemistry. I mean, as men, how many of us are impulsive? I reacted impulsively and it cost a guy his life. Don't react impulsively. Don't be reactive, guys. For the love of God, if you're still feeling it after 90 seconds, it's because you started thinking the thought again. And it's okay. Like it's just, you need to start noticing it. Notice that we're the one that's actually choosing to replay the story over and over again. And if that's happening, then just keep approaching it by 90-second waves until it finally passes. So Jason, I don't know if you've ever tried any of this, just sitting with it and letting it pass.
Well, since I've started seeing like psychiatrists after my PTSD and all that, I didn't know any of this until she had brought it up. You know what I mean? And she had talked to me like, and I believe talking to you as well at the gym, we were saying like you have to sit with your emotions. And it's the one thing we hate to do. We don't want to sit with our emotions. We want to distract ourselves. So we have our phones, we have music, we have something, and then our mind doesn't have to process or deal with it. But once I started sitting in a like a quiet room with my emotions and stuff like that, it wasn't until then I learned how to actually start controlling anxiety, give it a name, realize that I could actually calm it down and kind of end it after 90 seconds. I didn't realize it was 90 seconds, but I could actually make it go away pretty fast. And I think after hearing what you're saying now is, yeah, because I finally learned that I could stop it after 90 seconds if I didn't feed it, if I dealt with it, didn't give it any food, didn't give it any ammo, didn't give it any monster or anything like that to give it more adrenaline, and I could end it. But I never knew any of this until I started working with you and the psychiatrist and realized I had to just sit with it and deal with it. Like the music distraction, your phone distraction, gym, anything, whatever you do, it works. It works. I used it for years, but the problem is the longer you put it off, the stronger it gets and the more intense it's going to come back when it visits you. And it's going to keep coming back and visit you. It's not going to let you win this one. The only way to winning it is you have to deal with it. You have to sit with it and deal with it. And it took me 48 years to learn this, and it almost killed me in the process. But I'm telling you, once you learn to do that, your life will get better. It will, but took me 48 years. It ain't easy. I'm not telling anybody it's easy. It is not. Because there's even days where I struggle, where it comes and I want to use my phone instead to distract me. I'll look at funny videos or I'll go put on a movie so my brain doesn't have to deal with it. I even catch myself doing it still to this day, you know, because it's the easiest way. It's quick.
I mean, look, no one's expecting perfection from anyone. And like, thank you for sharing that because yeah, I mean, you've spent the past 2 years really working on yourself. And I noticed a huge change in you. And I'm really proud of you for doing that because you're doing work on yourself that most men never will. I mean, I was in prison for 10 years. That's over 87,000 hours of rebuilding myself. And I still struggle to this day. Like, gentlemen, you need to understand, like, just because we're giving you tools and just because you listen to this podcast, it doesn't mean you're healed. It doesn't mean you're going to understand this fully. It doesn't mean you're not going to struggle. And I don't think anyone's ignorant to that. I think we all are aware of that. But understand, like, the hard things that you need to do are the right things you need to do. But to find the self-respect required to do it, the investment required to do it, is one that most men regretfully will never make. We'll just minimize it. We'll justify it. We'll pass the blame on to our parents. We'll pass the blame on to our kids. We'll do anything within our power to move it, right? It's the elephant in the room. We're literally talking today about the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
You can put it in the corner, but the elephant's still in the room.
Yeah.
Right? Sure, maybe it's not in the middle of the room, but it's still in the room. And guys, you need to address it. You have to. I don't want to see people ruin their life. And anyways, I'm really hoping that this episode maybe wakes some people up. So now tool number 3, fear as data, not an enemy. So this one comes from clinical framework called acceptance and commitment therapy. It was developed by a psychologist named Dr. Stephen Hayes. And the core idea is something called cognitive diffusion. So, which is basically just a fancy way of saying shift from I am anxious to I am noticing anxiety.
Yeah.
Right? So, shift from I am anxious to I'm noticing anxiety. Just want to say it again, just in case anyone missed it. So, that sounds small, but it's actually huge. When you say I'm anxious, you have fused with the emotion. So now you're one with the emotion. You are anxiety. Now, if you change how you speak to say, when you're, say, noticing or feeling anxiety, you've created space between you and the feeling. You don't become the anxiety, you're just recognizing the anxiety. So now the feeling is there, but it's no longer running the show. So, and here's the reframe that changed everything for me. Fear is not telling you to stop. It's telling you that this thing actually matters. You're not afraid of things you don't care about. You're not anxious about outcomes that are meaningless to you. Fear is actually a compass, and it's pointing at the things that could and would change your life if you actually did them. Right? Think about everyone that wants to go to the gym for the first time. I don't know how many times people have walked into 613 and been like, man, it's scary being here. There's a lot of big dudes or a lot of like in shape people here, right? There's a bit of fear, a bit of anxiety maybe. But what happens when you actually allow yourself to move forward despite that fear? It changes their life. Afraid of the hard conversations with your partner? Well, that actually means the relationship matters. Are you afraid of putting yourself out there with a business? That actually means that the dream matters. Are you afraid of being vulnerable? That means the connection matters. So the road to the life you want runs straight through the things that you're most scared of. I'm going to say that again. The road to the life you want runs straight through the things that scare you the most. So now there's an old saying, between stimulus and response, and I know you've heard me say this before, Jay, and probably some of the audience. So between stimulus and response, there's a space. And in that space is our freedom and our power to choose our response. This is a more eloquent way of what I usually say. Usually I say you're not responsible for your first thought. You're responsible for the second thought and your first action. So tool number 4, stop waiting to feel ready. So this is the one I want to leave everybody with, because this is the chain that keeps most men locked in place. So there's a book, and it's called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. And it's by Suzanne Jeffers. The title is the whole lesson. Most of us, we're waiting to feel ready. You're waiting for the fear to go away before you take that step. I'm telling you right now, guys, that day is never going to come. Right? And you're actually going to screw yourself over by playing it safe. If you play it safe, that distance between you and what you actually want to do is just going to grow exponentially. It's going to get huge. And then you're never going to have a chance of doing it. So just waiting for that perfect moment, waiting for the right moment, waiting for the stars to align. It's never going to happen. So Stephen Pressfield wrote in The Art of War about something he calls resistance with a capital R. And he says the more important a call or action is to our soul's evolution, the more resistance we will feel toward pursuing it. So listen to that again. The thing you're most afraid to do is probably the thing that could or would change your life the most. Brave people are not people who do not feel fear. They are the people who feel the fear and move anyway. Right? That guy from World War I, is that what it was? Or World War II? World War II? Yeah. Every person you admire, every person we've ever looked up to, has built something real that they were afraid of the entire time. They just stopped waiting for permission from their own nervous system. So basically, they got out of their own way. Action kills fear, not the other way around. You don't get brave and then act. You act and then you become brave. Confidence follows action. It doesn't precede it. This is not a motivational quote, okay, guys? That's how your brain actually works. Every time you take the step, despite the fear, your brain logs evidence that you survived. And the next time, that alarm that goes off usually, it gets a little quieter. So Jason, when you hear action kills fear, what comes to mind? Is there something you did scared that proved that to you?
Yeah, no, that's probably one of the best things because the more I raced, the less fear I had about crashing, having an accident, and stuff like that. The more I took mines out of the ground, I had less fear of doing it, from making a mistake and stuff like that. Yeah, like the more I went parachuting, the less fear I had about parachuting because I did it and, my parachute worked and I kept going and stuff like that. So, yeah, the more you do it, your brain logs it in. Is like, okay, we did it. We understand it. I find one guy told me this once. He's like, fear is like getting a safety brief. Before you go whitewater rafting, you get a safety brief. That's what fear does to you. It's like fear just is like, it's giving you a safety brief saying like, okay, some shit could happen, but if you follow everything good, everything should work out fine, but there is a risk. So that's all fear is really giving you a safety brief. And if you white water raft every day, you get less and less fear because you're doing better and better. Same with skydiving, same with racing motorcycles, everything. So fear is actually quite easy to I find anyways, for me, fear was a lot easier to overcome than anxiety. Like I never really had a problem with fear and keeping going. I had a problem with anxiety, controlling my own mind, what I said to myself, what my mind was telling me. That was my biggest struggle, was anxiety. Yeah. Fear, I kind of always listened to fear. I listened to the safety brief, understood it, and was able to keep going. But anxiety, I put me on my ass a few times. That's for damn sure. You know?
When you said the parachuting thing, I think that's probably one of the things I'm most deathly afraid of in life because I hate heights.
Yeah.
Like I can manage being in an airplane. I
Yeah.
can manage certain things, but yeah, like I'm not a fan of heights whatsoever, but it absolutely makes sense.
Yeah.
Is the more you jump out of an airplane, which will never happen with me. I'm just, especially at my age now, I'm very aware of my mortality. Ignorance is bliss when you're in your 20s, but
Yeah.
when you're in your 40s, you're like, hell no.
Yeah.
But yeah, the more you do it, the less that alarm's going off, because as long as you're kind of going through your pre-flight checklist,
Yeah.
right?
Your
Every
safety
time
brief. Yeah.
yeah, your safety brief, you know what you need to do. You check all the boxes. Okay, I've minimized the risk of what could maybe go wrong. I mean, yeah, things can go wrong in life.
Yeah.
That's life, right? Life will life at times, for lack of a better term. But as long as you go through that, most of the time you'll be okay.
Yeah.
Right. And that's kind of something that we can apply in our day-to-day life. That's why I think a morning routine is so key for men when it comes to managing anxiety and fear throughout the day. If you just wake up and go, right? If you are waking up scrambling in the morning, you are unable to really prepare yourself for the day ahead. Right now, the meeting you have, the traffic you run into, the text from your wife, the text from your kid's teacher, or email from your kid's teacher, whatever it is, right? It's so much worse now because you kind of haven't gone through your morning ritual, your pre-flight ritual, which could better prepare you for the day ahead. And I'm always going to keep coming back to that until every listener develops a morning routine. I know that'll never happen, but I'm hopeful. I'm forever optimistic that people will start listening and understanding that stop winging the day by waking
Yeah, I
up
like
with
that.
waking up 20 minutes before they have to head out the door, scrambling.
I
Of
could tell
course you're
anybody,
anxious.
any mission I ever did, any mine I ever took out of the ground, any motorcycle race I ever went in, anytime I ever winged it, it went horribly. Anytime I took maybe 15, 20 minutes and had a plan, I had no issues. So if I could tell anybody anything, that have a little plan. And you don't need crazy planning. Whether it's just pre-make your breakfast, lay out your clothes, car already has gas in it, whatever, whatever it is you need to do, like if I have to pay you in the morning, let's say, I don't want to go to the bank machine before I have to go see Tyson because then I got traffic and then this and I didn't get gas. I got to get goddamn gas and now I'm late for my training set. You're just setting yourself up for failure. You're already in the negative before your day even started, you know? So like have your pre-made breakfast as much as you can do. Have gas in the car, your clothes are ready to go. You already went to the bank machine if you gotta pay somebody or get a coffee, you want something, then you already have all that.
My wife, fortunately, she's got this cup here. She's got a cup full of pens. So, I'm gonna use this as an analogy because I don't have a well. But let's say you start the day without a plan, right? Your cup's gonna be empty.
Yeah.
So when fires come up during the day, which they're going to, again, could be that text message from the wife or your boss, it could be the email from the teacher, it could be anxiety you're dealing with, stress you're dealing with, whatever it is, right? There are multiple fires going on in every man's life in any given day, right? So now think of these pens as your self-care. Okay, so now it's going to be hard to show. So let's say, hopefully we can see this. We've got the cup here. So let's say this is your morning routine. Okay, well, I laid out my clothes the night before. Okay, so now we got that in there. Oh, I have my meal prep done. Oh, okay, that goes in there, right? I've got my morning walk, right? Oh, I did my gratitude, right? And we keep adding these things, right? Oh, I have all these things done. All before you know it, right? You got a full cup. Now your cup is full. So every time you have something come up, you have resources at your disposal to handle that stress. Your cup's not empty, right? And the bigger your reservoir is, so the bigger your cup of your well of self-care is, right? So think of self-care. It's not just physical, it's mental, it's emotional, it's spiritual, it's social. So the bigger that reservoir is, you can dip your cup in because you can only go to the gym so many times a day.
Yep.
Right? And what about the day you don't get to go to the gym? What about the day where I'm feeling sick? Or I've got an appointment that I had to schedule when I would normally go to the gym. So if you don't go to the gym, well, then now you don't have the adequate self-care necessary because that's the only thing you're relying on. Now, again, Now you've given the reins back. You've given control back to your fear and your anxiety, because what we could usually use to manage and cope with it, well, we're only relying on one thing. Make that reservoir, make that well as big as you can. So that if you don't have time to go to the gym, well, I can still do a 20-minute walk in the morning. I can still do some light therapy. I can still do some gratitude, some reflection, some meditation, whatever it is. Whatever it is that could take literally just a few minutes to do it anyways. Do it like your life depends on it, like your mental health depends on it, because it actually does. Remember the statistics, guys. Your mental health matters, because if you don't take care of it, it could take care of you.
And it will.
Yeah.
It will.
I mean, Jay, how many vets you know have taken their life?
Oh, yeah. Hundreds. Hundreds that just I know of, let alone what the statistics would show. But yeah, hundreds of vets, just because our minds take over. Our anxiety in our mind becomes the worst enemy because we don't get treatment. We don't know how to express it. We don't talk. All that stuff we were, told not to do.
So guys, fear is not the enemy. Avoidance is. 77% of men are feeling this. That, right? 4 times more likely to die from it than women. And less than 1 in 5 will ever talk to somebody about it. Those are not just numbers. Those are our fathers, our brothers, our friends, our partners. Those are men who were told the same thing we're all told, right? Be tough. Push through it. Don't show it. But here's again what the science shows. The fear chemical, it lasts just 90 seconds. Name the emotion. It's the brake pedal. The more you avoid the thing that scares you, like Jay said, right, the bigger it gets. And action, not confidence, is what kills fear. So every time you run from the thing that scares you, you're not protecting yourself, guys. You're shrinking yourself down. You're actually drawing borders. Talk about the self-imposed prison how many times? You're drawing borders. You're building walls, and your life now becomes smaller and smaller until you're living in a box you built with your own quote-unquote hand. A prison of your own making, of your own design. Guys, we're the wardens. You have to understand, the prisons that we've built for ourselves, we're the friggin' wardens. We have the keys.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
We literally have the keys to the prison we decided to make for ourselves, but yet somehow, let's just stay in the prison. And I get it. It's easier, right? It's easier to have the drink. It's easier to smoke the joint. It's easier to eat the food than to actually talk about what's killing you slowly. Because again, we talked about this in another podcast. It's a slow death, but it's a death nonetheless. And the worst part is the thing you're avoiding is almost never as bad as a story you've been telling yourself. And I'm speaking about this from personal experience now, because for the longest time, I thought that my life was over when I was sentenced to life in prison. I thought that's it. I'm living proof that a life sentence doesn't have to be a life sentence. I need you men to understand that. And just because you might struggle with this for the rest of your life, just like me being on parole for the rest of my life, it doesn't mean you can't have a fulfilling and loving and enjoyable life. But you got to address it. You got to follow that correctional plan, right? This is what we're providing, is kind of the correctional plan that I used when I was in prison. So long as I followed it, so long as I followed my conditions, I can maintain my freedom. Guys, so long as you follow these tools, the resources, the things we're teaching and providing you, you're going to have your emotional health and freedom. Right? The conversation is never as hard as you imagine. And the failure is never as final as you feared. Rejection's never as devastating as you predicted. But the cost of not trying, that one's real. And that one compounds every single day. So here's your project, guys. Here's your project for the week. Just one thing, okay? The next time fear shows up, and it will, don't run from it. Don't numb out. Don't numb it. Don't try to perform your way through it. Name it. Sit with it for 90 seconds. Ask yourself, what is it pointing at? And then move anyway. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to stop letting fear sit in the driver's seat that is your life. Fear told you not to listen to this episode, but you're still here. And that is proof you already know how to do this. So now go do the thing that actually matters, guys. So Jay, is there anything that landed for you this episode?
Oh yeah, of course. It's funny. It's like I've learned a lot of this since I got help from you and the psychiatrist. But before I knew none of this, and I didn't even know about the 90-second until this episode, that it actually just lasts 90 seconds. I just knew from my techniques I've learned from you and the psychiatrist, I was able to squash it down pretty fast and stuff. But now I know why. It's because it's 90 seconds and stuff like that. It's like that famous guy from the Romans. Was it Marcus Aurelius?
Yes.
Yeah, he said, you will do more damage to your own mind with your own thoughts than anybody will ever say to you. So a lot of times I think of that quote that he said. So whenever my mind starts getting away from me, I think this is just me saying this shit to me. No one else is saying this shit. It's just me and my mind battling with my own self. And then I find it helps. And then it gives me kind of like the strength to squash whatever's going on. But yeah, we are our worst. We are like our number one fans and our worst enemy at the same time.
Yeah, what I was looking actually to say before was our brain is our best asset or greatest enemy.
Yeah.
It's like it literally is it will be able to carry us to do amazing things, or it will run us, into the ground and ruin us completely.
It's true. It's
You
true,
know?
man.
I
Yeah.
always think of those 90s commercials from This Is Your Brain on drugs. Remember the scrambled egg? And it's like, but that's what fear and anxiety is, right? It's that scrambled egg. It's something that's, again, so many men, women, everyone struggles with it. I can't tell you how many times I've seen a client, I've had a client on the phone freaking out in a rage, right? When I'm mentoring men in a rage, and I do want to hear what's going on, but I'm trying to ask them, please calm down, catch your breath. But it's just this cycle. I've had people on the phone with me for 60 minutes raging. And after learning this 90-second thing, it's like, I just need you to, now it's like a new tool, right?
Yeah.
Okay, rage, I get it. I need you to take 90 seconds. Stop for 90 seconds. Run through this. Because the one thing I learned is that in that 60 minutes, I guess I don't want to do the math right now, but find out how many times do 90 seconds occur in 60 minutes. And that's how many times you're running through the same loop over and over and over and over and over again. And you're just getting more wound up. Guys, stop the cycle. Break the cycle. 90 seconds can literally change your life. For the right or the wrong thing, it's entirely up to you. This is your decision. So I really hope that this week's episode lands for a lot of you. I know it landed for me. I love doing this podcast because it's allowed me to learn more things and provided me with more tools and resources to help my listeners, to help my clients out. So Jay, thank you for being with us again. As always, it's a pleasure to have you here, to have your wisdom, your lived experience.
Wisdom. I don't know if it's wisdom or just a bunch of life mistakes.
But that's what wisdom is.
It's true, yeah.
Wisdom is messing up that you become smart enough not to do the same shit over again.
Yeah.
Because then if you are still doing the same shit, well, then you're just a dumbass. But no, it's wisdom, right? It's wisdom. So thank you for sharing your knowledge, your lived experience, your wisdom with myself and our audience. And guys, thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned for another episode of From Shadows of Strength next week.